So we've got go to a formal safety committee meeting.
I don't do that, but I know my boss and the health.
Probably one of the managers or the health and safety
Yeah,
representative.
they have those sort of formal meetings, but we hear about what happens in the
Sure.
meetings.
I mean, exactly. That's good. Now, talk with your health and safety representative about a concern.
Yeah.
Finally, listen to the health and safety representative's report at a regular staff meeting.
Well, that's what when they go to the formal safety committee meeting, then they come back.
You get a memo.
us,
You get that.
yeah.
Yeah. So you have probably
So
what
I'll
they
put
call
yes with
feed
that.
on meetings.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, that's so really one of the main focus. We like to push this, not push it, but we like to emphasise this about identifying hazards and control risks, because the best way to eliminate hazards is by people constantly keeping an eye out for them. And I think we said, oh, that definition is really coming. But let's go through this. All workplaces must follow a process to identify hazards and remove or reduce associated risks. And we've gone over this, but it's very important. A hazard is anything that could cause harm to people and property, and risk is the chance or probability of harm if people or property is exposed to the hazard. So I know for a fact in your workplace this is correct. In most workplaces, your employer or supervisor would have already identified and assessed the hazards and put control measures in place. However, there's always a chance other hazards may arise. As I said, I mean, you think about your place, there's probably a couple of hundred people that come through there every couple of days.
Yeah.
So there's always
They move
chairs being moved. Exactly.
They put tables together. That
Sometimes they might
shouldn't.
not close the doors, or
Yeah.
the sliding doors might be
Or
jammed on something.
Hold the fire door open.
Exactly.
With something.
Go through the no exit. There's always things that are happening. So it's something. So therefore, workers must know how to identify workplace hazards and associated risks, implement the recommended controls, and never be afraid to report health and safety concerns. Now we'll just have another little. This is quite a fun one. We always have a bit of a laugh with this. This is like a hazard. I'll use my mouse to pinpoint. Hazard identification. So let's have a look here. Let's start. Look.
Oh,
Exposed wires. That's a big one. That's a major one. Now, what about this gentleman here?
All those boxes are going to fall on him because he's taking.
He's taking from the middle, so they could be quite heavy boxes too. So that could cause neck injury. He could break his neck.
And he's leaning too far into it.
He's just the stance is all wrong. Now you've got this gentleman here as well. He's lifting.
Bending right over.
All those muscles on
He's
the back
bending,
there.
yeah, he's bending using his back
and he's
rather
got,
than his
you
knees.
can almost feel the pain, can't you? And I think, look here, you've got this forklift. Now I believe it's heading that way, but it could be heading this way.
It looks like it's leaving a spill.
There you are, right? Look. So that's a chemical spill. It could be
Yeah.
oil. It could be
oil. So
petrol, diesel.
slip,
You've got a slip hazard there.
burn.
And if he sort of skids through that could cause all sorts of problems. Now you've got this lady here, so she's quite industrious there. She's probably looking at her iPad or something
She's
there,
not being
checking.
aware of her surroundings, is she?
Look at that there. So
Yeah.
that dress there, the blouse, is going to go right into that conveyor belt. And I'm just looking, these guys here, look there, he's wearing thongs.
Yeah, and she's wearing
high heels.
But
So
he's got the proper boots.
He's
on.
got proper work
But
boots.
She should
but
be in that warehouse.
I've just noticed now he's
area.
wearing thongs. So yeah, they're in a
Yeah.
warehouse, which is it can be quite a hazardous place. So
You've
that's
got to wear work boots or something.
exactly. So these are examples of common hazards and their potential risks. So you've got extreme temperatures, and I know in your cafe you'll have
Well, there's a cold room.
there's a cold room, so you've got and then you've got heat with the
hot
coffee
plate
machine. You've got the
and
hot plate.
steam from the coffee machine.
So extreme temperatures, heat can cause burns and heat stroke. Are you familiar with heat stroke? Sometimes if you don't drink enough, that can lead to death as well. Cold can cause hypothermia or frostbite. Now you've got biological hazards, COVID-19, which we're all familiar with. Now Legionnaire's disease, which is from air conditioners. We just turn that one on. Q fever, HIV/AIDS, or allergies, and they can be spread in particularly in a food environment, in a food production environment. So we're going to come to personal protective equipment in a minute. Now you've got here radiation. Now I'm not sure. I don't know if that would be. I hope not exactly. You don't want to be using the Geiger counter, do you? Like customers to come in. But radiation can cause burns, cancer, or blindness. And the thing with radiation, you don't actually have to touch it. You just have to be in the area of it. Now this is one which we sometimes call the silent hazard. The hazard that dare not speak its name. Psychological, which can be mental health, physical illness, or work-related fatigue. And something that's a big, it's sort of it's a terrible thing really. Workplace bullying that can cause terrible mental health, psychological risks and hazards. So these are ones here, but we can go into more depth here with examples of common hazards and their potential risks. These are probably more in tune with your workplace. So manual tasks, I know you mentioned before, lifting boxes, lifting grains, bags of coffee.
No, we
those
use
big,
the little dolly.
You've got the dolly, which is perfect, yeah.
And we've been
with
trained on how do you do that as
exactly, because it's when you actually get that out of its dock, you've got to make sure you're, I used to have a lot of experience with those. Now gravity, which means basically falling off a ladder.
Well, yeah.
Do you use small step ladders or?
Yeah, to get up high, to do the cleaning on the range hood and stuff like that. And the wall, like kitchen, we like it to be it has to be spotless.
Splashback and everything, yeah.
Yeah, we need to get up
I suppose
there.
you have regular health and safety checks from the Department of Health.
Yes, and also in the cold room, there's some things that are high up that we need to get on the step ladder to get down.
But I suppose that have to be the right size step ladders. If you have one that's too big, and also you don't want to be standing on the last
step. We have one that's
step.
in the cold room and one that's in the kitchen,
Perfect.
so that we're not dragging it all, back and forth. That means the lifting and stuff.
Now this is one we don't normally think of: noise, which can cause permanent hearing damage or loss.
Construction site, wouldn't it?
Well, not necessarily. Sometimes people work with their AirPods in, and that can cause, it's only later down the track, 20 years later, you realise you've got permanent hearing damage.
Okay.
But you are right. You'll see on work sites, sometimes they're wearing those big headphones with the jackhammers and things like that. So noise is a major concern. Now you've got electricity, those exposed wires before.
Yeah.
It can lead to electric shock, burns, damage to
We've
organs.
got water near appliances. So
Really? Yeah, so you've got to keep an eye on that as well. So,
yeah.
and I think you'd also have to wear rubber-soled shoes, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like insulated shoes.
Yeah.
So that can lead to permanent injuries or death. Now you've got potential risk with machinery, even machinery that's working well. If you haven't been trained to use it properly, that's where problems
like
can
Hayley
occur.
with her
Well, exactly,
meat
exactly.
slicer.
And she was too afraid to speak up, but that was her right to speak up, wasn't it? It was first of all the employer's responsibility to train her properly and to ensure that she was. As you said, I think you said earlier, she should have had a shadow there. Even for the first couple of days using that meat machine, I mean, it's probably taking someone off another job, but it's more in the long run. It's at least Hayley's going to understand exactly. And poor old Hayley missing those 3 fingertips or the 1 fingertip. Now, hazardous chemicals. That's not just things like gas and all that sort of stuff. It can be cleaning materials, which we all bleach. Which do you use a lot of bleach at the cafe?
Well, we do a big clean them down or
Big, like a deep clean they call it,
clean,
don't they?
yeah.
So we've gone through hazards. Now, are there any questions so far? Is there anything you'd like to?
No, that's fine.
See, what we're going to come to now is PPE, which is, have you heard of that term before?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
obviously use
COVID.
it. Personal protective
Yeah, it
equipment.
was on the news all the time. with
Exactly.
COVID.
We couldn't get away from it. So what we're going to start with is gloves. Now I've got a pair for you and I've got a pair for me. Do you have another glove? Well, let's have a look. We've got 1, 2. We've got 2 for you and 1 for me. Oh, I've got my other one down here. 1 Memento. So now the thing with gloves, I've noticed you're quite versed in putting them on there. I did notice there you're not wearing any rings.
Oh yeah, I can't. I leave them at home.
And that's one of the most important
At
things.
work.
See, with gloves, now the thing with PPE, I'm just going to get. Now, I think on that video, it actually spoke about a PCBU. Now, that's a person conducting a business undertaking. So that really is the owner of the cafe, okay?
Okay.
Now, they must put control measures in place to protect, beautiful, that's a fantastic job, to protect workers' health and safety. That includes giving workers personal protective equipment, if required, to minimise a risk. Now, they actually say that PPE is the last thing. I mean, really, we looked at before eliminating risks and various things, so we really want to eliminate any risk, but this, particularly in food preparation, this can prevent cross-contamination, it can prevent, but again, gloves, excuse me, gloves must be used, they call these one use, and I think you'll know with masks as well. So you always ensure that your fingers are right through. Just having a little trouble with that stubborn thumb. There we go. So you use these at work, don't you? You use blue ones or the white ones? You've got different gauge
the blue ones.
So the most important thing is as well, As we say, they're one use. So, I mean, generally when you're cutting, people on the till don't use gloves, do they? I've noticed when I was in there the other day.
because then they'd be putting money.
Exactly. I've seen that actually in food trucks where there's someone that will take the money, give back money, and go and cut another sandwich. So there's no point really.
Yeah.
They're probably actually cross-contaminating things a lot more.
Yeah.
So gloves are these are probably the one thing you see everywhere.
Could you use, I wonder if you could use hand sanitizer on the gloves?
No, well generally not really, but yeah, no, it's best because that can actually go through the gloves and then render them useless. So now it's the duty of, we were talking about employers' duties and responsibilities. It's actually the duty of the PCBU, the person conducting a business undertaking, to select suitable PPE for the worker and the task. You've got to make sure it's comfortable as well. Are they comfortable?
Yep.
I think you've got small, medium, large, extra large gloves. So when you're inducted, they'll always say, right, they'll always have a box of extra large for you. These are large, so I think they fit you well. So you've always got to make sure that it's comfortable. Your employer must provide information, training and instructions to workers and people visiting your workplace about how to use PPE. Now about visiting workplaces, you'll see on building sites. Have you ever been to a building site or you've gone to a house?
Well, you see all the politicians, don't you? They're always
wearing their hard hats.
They're wearing their hard hats
and
when they go visit a building site.
Exactly. So it's basically it's legislation. Now your employer also must guide the workers and others to use PPE properly, but also periodically assess whether the PPE is and continues to be effective. And also, finally, to put up signs about using PPE. And I think I've got one.
Well, I'm guessing if you had all the PPE on and then there was gastro and it went
exactly
through everywhere, then you'd have to have a look at it, wouldn't you?
Exactly. So this here is a classic. These are signs that are generally used. Have you seen these around? I know in aged care they've got things, that means must wear gloves.
Yeah.
There you've got must have boots. So that's for chemical spills and things. Exactly. And you've got here.
Sorry.
So there you've got little gloves there. You've got a hard hat.
Yeah.
You've got visor. And look at those, the old earphones there.
Yeah.
Now these are just other ones there that say trip risk. Now you've got no smoking. First aid. So they're just signs about PPE. So really, I mean, I can provide you at the end here with more information about the legislation requirements for workplace health and safety. But let's have a look at some others here. Now, have you come across these before?
Yep.
The old classic visors.
Yeah.
So you've got different types of eye goggles. You've got wraparound eye goggles. These are a stock standard. See, some people even use those in a kitchen environment. But do you remember during COVID as well? The big visor down there. So you've got splash-proof visors. There's all different types, but again, the PCBU, person undertaking a business, will have the right sort of thing for you there. They feel quite good, don't they? See, the good thing about those, I noticed you wear glasses, you could actually wear those over those. Now this comes to the old classic, okay?
Well,
the
see
mask.
a few of those.
So you've got different types of masks. That's probably the most common that I've seen people in your workplace wear those as well.
Make it tighter by doing
You can double up the twist. We all became experts on that.
Oh, didn't we?
But and there's always that debate whether it was white at the front or blue at the front.
Yep, used to that.
Now also
one use only.
One use only, exactly. So that will go into the. Again,
those.
At a later date, at our next module, we'll talk about donning and doffing PPE, the correct way to do it. But you look like you've got a good understanding of it already. Now this here is not a hairnet. It's actually for shoes.
Yeah.
So that's, sometimes you see that on those crime shows, you know, when they go into a crime scene. But again, people will wear this in a kitchen environment if they have to go outside with their boots to empty the rubbish or something. Again, one use into the bin. Now, funnily enough, again, something we've seen a lot of.
Yep.
The old hand sanitizer. You probably use this quite a lot in the workplace.
Yeah, when I'm on the till.
When you're on the till, exactly. Money is one of the most, what do they call it, like a contagious type thing. Again, this is actually a protective PPE, a COVID test. So
well,
not
everyone
only,
had to take one, didn't they?
Exactly.
So they could come to work.
Exactly. Now, it's not just that, but flu tests, things like this. These are all protective type things. So, are there any questions at this moment here?
No.
No? You're doing a marvellous job, may I say. Now, I'm going to bring, if we stand up for this one here, this is the fun part, the old apron. Now, these come in all different shapes and sizes. I'm just going to give you a quick, this goes over the head, it's got these arm pieces, and then I'm going to ask you, we'll do this together, you can tie me up. And you've even got nifty little thumb holes, look at that.
Yeah, that's great.
So really, you could be wearing gloves, and then you can put that over there. But
yeah,
what I'll
that's
do,
good. That means there's no area for anything to get
exactly, exactly. As they say, better to be safe than sorry. Could I ask you to untie me, please?
in. Sure. There you go.
Lovely. Now I'm gonna. This is your turn. This is your moment to shine.
I gotta go.
So take your time, but it's always good to put these on with someone else with you. Now there we go. Fire away, and I'll tie you up. Perfect. So you've got your thumbs through there.
Yep.
Now that's marvellous. So I mean, you're mainly on the tills, I know, so you wouldn't be wearing this, but I suppose if you're ever called into the kitchen,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this is second hand here, but you've looking good. So, marvellous, marvellous. And again, these are one use as well.
Okay.
So let's go through that. Are gloves, can you use these particular gloves again, or are they
No,
one use?
in the bin.
What about the mask?
In the bin.
Visor? Or goggles?
They have to be used again, but would you clean them?
You have to clean them. There's special ways you make sure they're being sterilised, cleaned with the correct sort of temperature of water and detergents. Oh. So really, we're coming to the end now. What we've covered here. We've covered the general idea about workplace health and safety, about how it's a concept. It's legislation to keep us safe, to keep everyone safe, the working environment safe, and we maintain that by continual risk assessments. We've all got to be alert and identify risks and hazards and eliminate them. And again, it's a continuous thing. So it's not just one thing we do once a year. You very brilliantly mentioned that things are tested. Fire extinguishers are tested. That's why we do regular fire evacuations, things like that. So, and then we talked about hazards, various hazards within different workplaces, and in particular a cafe workplace. And then we looked at PPE, what we use. And so this is a general, as it's a 30-minute lesson, it's giving us a basic idea of all these concepts. But you've been a fantastic student. I'd like to thank you for coming. But do you have any final questions?
Can you help me look at those links?
I will provide you with some links, most definitely. And there's on YouTube, I can help you with that. We can help you with that. We have also, and I'll give you the information about the internet course.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you later.
Okay. Thank you.